Hi everyone. Since the coronavirus hit and we've all been asked to stay at home, you've probably been spending some time doing video conferencing to keep in touch with work or friends. And you probably noticed by now that a whole lot of people have really terrible pictures and really terrible sound. Sometimes you can barely see them or barely understand what they're saying. Today I'm going to show you some ways you can improve the quality of your video and sound without spending any money and without getting any new hardware, just using some things you should have around your house already. Around me you can see several examples of bad quality video. On one side you can see some that was taken at night, and it looks pretty bad and has a strange color. The reason for the strange color is that the Windows desktop is usually around some color of blue, and that's really the only light that's coming onto my face there. The lower example, I've turned the Windows desktop to white, and that provides a little extra white light and makes me look a bit better, but it's still pretty bad. On the other side, you can see some video that was taken in the room with the blinds drawn during daytime. So there is some light, but not much, and there aren't any other lights turned on in the room. So it's still kind of grainy looking and has a bit of an odd color. But you can see that in the bottom image that turning on the Windows desktop to white makes things look a little better. Now, this is an example of a very simple thing you can do to improve the lighting in your videos. The top image is taken with a simple desk lamp positioned behind the laptop shining onto my face. You can see it looks better, but it's still a little bit harsh. So in the second image down, I've added a simple paper towel, a white paper towel, over top of the lamp to diffuse the light and spread it out a little bit. And you can see that looks better and a bit softer. In the final example, I've turned on the room lights to even the lighting out a bit. You can see now the lighting on my face and the lighting in the room are similar, so everything looks quite a bit better. Now what you're looking at are a couple of examples of using natural light. I've opened the window up and I'm allowing light to come in from the outside, which is a fairly bright day. The top image is just the open window. No direct sunlight, just the light that's coming in. You can see it's a bit harsh. The bottom image is the same exact setup, but with the room lights turned on. This gives a little extra light on the background of the room so that you can see better. Finally, here's an example of another common problem. On some laptops, the camera is at the top of the screen, but for some reason, some brands of laptop put the camera down at the bottom. Most of what you've seen so far is the latter, with the camera at the bottom. You can see this gives you a pretty bad view looking up the person's nose, and it's not very pleasant. So what I do is I put the laptop on a box or a stack of books to raise the camera up to more or less eye level. Now when the camera is at the bottom of the screen, there's a limit to how much you can tilt the screen down before the keyboard comes into the picture. So you really can't move the camera up as high as you'd like it to be. On the other side of the screen, you can see an example of a laptop that has the camera in the right place, at the top center of the screen. Here you get a much better look at the person, but you still can benefit by raising the laptop up on a little bit so that the camera is at eye level again. Now let's talk a little bit about sound. A lot of times when you're on a video conference, the person's sound is so muddy and so distorted that you can barely understand what they're saying. And other times it sounds like they've got a trash can over their head. The reason for this is usually pretty simple. One reason is that the room is just big and echoey, and the mic is picking that up. But usually it's something even simpler. People are just not sitting close enough to the microphone. Now it's kind of hard for me to demonstrate all of this because the room I'm in isn't very echoey to start with. There's a lot of things in it to kill the echoes. But I'll start out by showing you an example of what it sounds like when you're way far away from the microphone. I'm in a room that's really poorly lit and I'm sitting way too far away from it. And here's an example of what it sounds like when you sit very close, about a foot away. Now I'm in the same room, still poorly lit, but I'm much closer. Another thing you can do to improve the quality of your conference overall is to wear a set of earphones. These can be a big help because people are easier to understand on the headphones even if they've got bad quality audio. You probably already have a set of smartphone earphones. These have a microphone in them as well, and it generally will sound better. Here's what that sounds like. This is with a standard smartphone headset that has a built-in microphone. Besides smartphone headphones, You can always use a gaming headset or some other type of microphone that you might have around. Right now, I'm on a separate microphone fairly close to me. In general, microphones sound better when you get closer to them, although it's usually not good to get much closer than about a foot. There are some other things you can do that will help you out. One of them is not to have a plain white wall behind you. While you'd think this would work good, usually the white wall is so bright that it throws the camera off so that it can't get the right exposure on your face and your face ends up dark. It's usually better to use a darker color behind you. Now me, I've got a green screen back there. Other people, you might think about using, say, a beige sheet or some darker colored construction paper taped to the wall, anything you can find. Now, I didn't want to get into too many technical things because everybody's computer is a little different, so I can't show you exactly how to do some of this stuff. But if your camera has an app that allows you to set brightness, contrast, color balance, or any of those kind of things, you might want to mess with it a little bit to get a better picture. Typically, the automatic settings on these cameras aren't very good, and a lot of times when you move around in the frame or some light changes a little bit, they go completely wacky. So generally what you want to do is set your camera in manual mode, set the focus, set the exposure till it looks right. The color balance, if you're using daylight, should be probably around 5200 or 5300, whatever looks good to you to give you a nice warm picture of yourself. And in some cases, it will look better if you turn the brightness down a bit from what the auto system will give you. Just a little bit dimmer than usual makes the highlights on your face less shiny looking, and overall just generally looks better. So I hope this helps you out. It's always good to have some solutions that you can do without buying anything new, particularly right now when it's really difficult to get anything delivered to your house in under a couple of weeks. This is all stuff you can do with things that you have at home, so you can try it out right now. That's about all for now. See you next time.